Good morning, everybody. At the outset, it's a great pride for me and all of us here this day because KCG College of Technology has witnessed so many achievers. Our alumnus, one of our alumni, Mr. Baki Gautam, is here with us today to share his success story and glimpses of his journey towards victory. And KCG College of Technology has seen many such alumni who are in administrative positions, both in the central government as well as in the state government. We have witnessed IAS officers who are sub collectors, people who are working in the Navy, Coastal Guard, Ministry of Home Affairs, Defense, Army, policemen, etc. So, this is one more feather on a cap that we have a success story to hear from Baki Kautam. So, as we begin this program, let us seek the blessings of the Almighty with an opening prayer. Let us close our eyes, bow down, and pray. Gracious, loving Heavenly Father, we thank you for your unseen presence this morning amongst us. We thank you, we worship you, we glorify, we magnify your name. For the God, we thank you especially for the gift of Baki Gautam to KCG College of Technology. We thank you for the achievements you have bestowed on him in the recent past. We want you to bless him, motivate him, and give him all the special charisms and gifts required to build your kingdom on this earth and to do the needful to the poor and needy as per your desire. At the same time, for the God, we also pray that you may bless all the participants, the aspirants who wanted to clear the UPSC examinations, who are having the great desire to come up in their life. Grant them all the desires of their heart and all the charisms required for the preparation of such examinations. In a special way, we pray for our management, our principal, our faculty members, deans, HODs, and students. We thank you for your protection throughout this pandemic season, for protecting each and every one of us from all danger and harm. We believe that you'll continue to bless us and use us for your glory. We ask all these intentions through the mighty and precious name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. So, as we begin, we have here with us our principal, Dr. Devasundari. May I now invite our principal to welcome the gathering as well as welcome Baki Gautam.
Thank you,
Over to the
Praveen.
principal.
Thank you, Praveen. Good morning to all. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you today on this very pleasant morning, for the session on Toppers Talk by our distinguished alumnus, Mr. Bakya Gautam, who is a 2016 passed out from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Um, Gautam, we are pleased to note that you have secured All India rank 178 in the examination conducted by UPSC for the post of Assistant Commandant in the Central Armed Police Force. Actually, you have invigorated your passion towards for uniform and successfully translated it into a reality also. Congratulations on your accomplishment again. And at this point, we also recognize your contribution, as a student aspirant to the Civil Service Aspirants Club of the college during your period of study. Needless to say, you were instrumental in starting the club on our campus also. We are sure that it will introduce a good number of able officers to the nation. And you're one of our proud and distinguished alumni always. And very soon we wish also to see you on campus in person, motivating all our young aspirants. Welcoming you for this virtual session. Thanks for taking time out of your preparation schedule from your CSC interviews. Best wishes for all your future endeavors too. I also extend my welcome to our Dean Student Affairs, heads of departments, all my colleagues, and my dear students. KCG College of Technology always, we strongly believe in the concept of holistic education. That's in line with our founder chairman, Dr. KCG Verghese' noble vision to make every man a success and no man a failure. Actually, such achievements of our students and our alumni and their helping hands to the current students give us a confidence always to march towards the goal. Once again, on behalf of KCG College of Technology and all our management, I would like to provide a very warm and hearty welcome to all who have joined us today in this virtual session. Thank you, Praveen.
Thank you, ma'am. As the principal has mentioned, our alumni are always very supportive and they're part of many initiatives that we take in this campus towards all student endeavors. So, one of the key factors that all these endeavors are successful is that we have our Dean Student Affairs, Dr. Anita Manuel, leading us all throughout this journey. So, may I invite Madam to say a few words and felicitate Gautam.
It's a lovely morning. And as everybody was saying, was both principal and just Praveen has just mentioned, it is always wonderful to connect with our alumni on any occasion and any alumni, right? But to connect today with Gautam on such an occasion when it is a celebration of an accomplishment, a fulfillment of a dream, there is a special joy in that. Uh, we all have different dreams, goals, aspirations, ambitions. Actually, ambition has a negative connotation, so many people don't like the word ambition. But whatever we call it, whether it is a dream or an aspiration or an ambition, the road to it is most of the time not easy. There are a lot of challenges which require hard work and dedication. Gautam himself, he is a 2016 batch pass out, and today in 2021, he has fulfilled one dream and is in the cusp of achieving another dream. I'm sure when he talks to you, he will be talking about all the challenges he has faced and that it has not been a very straight and smooth path. This is without, knowing anything. I don't know what he is going to say, but I'm assuming that it's because it's generally speaking, it's like that. I know another, I'm in touch with another alumnus from same batch as Gautam, his fellow classmate, and he also had this dream of being joining the civil services. But personal reasons, he is with Amazon, and when I was speaking to him the other day, he said, yes, it's a great job, it's a great company, everything is great, but this was not my dream, and he's now thinking of preparing again for the UPSC exam. So Gautam here is an example of what it is to achieve when you persevere and with a very focused way to reach your dream or to achieve your goal. And he's here today to share with us the steps that he has taken in a way, in the hope that that'll inspire and also guide and help us. So we are very grateful that Gautam is here today to share his experience. I think this is the first time he is coming back to the campus, even though it's in a virtual mode after he left us in 2016. I'm not sure, but I think this is the first time. I'm sure Gautam, when he is speaking, please correct if I am wrong. So it's wonderful to have Gautam back here on campus, even though it's in a virtual mode. And as principal said, maybe one day we'll have him back. But I think by then he'll be even busier than he is now. But I hope he will be able to come and talk to the students in physically or personally. Just want to say that before I end, the KCG club, as was mentioned, I just want to felicitate felicitate the KCG club as well. It was kickstarted by Gautam. I think that was during Albert Sir's time. Albert is not with us, but he was very ably assisted by Ramya in the discharge of all the different activities of the club, and it's still continuing, your legacy. So Gautam's legacy on campus, it's still continuing. It is still very much there, though it is always a limited number of students. It's not like one of those clubs where there are a large number of students. So I can see with the number of people who have registered for this, that there are a lot of aspirants for this post. And I hope it is not just because of that's prestigious to hold this post, but also because they want to serve the country with honesty and dedication, because it is the efforts of whether it is your armed police force or whether it is an IS officer or whether it's a forest service or whether it's a foreign service, it is their efforts that keep the administrative machinery of this country running. So I wish all the aspirants also success, and I felicitate the KCG Club, and my special congratulations and thanks once more to Gautam. Thank you so much for being with us, and congratulations again.
Thank you, ma'am, for those encouraging words. It's now time for Gautam to address. So let me give a brief introduction about Gautam. Baki Gautam is an alumnus of KCG College of Technology from Mechanical Engineering Department, 2016 pass out. He had his schooling at St. John's English School and Junior College, Besant Nagar. At school, he has been the head volunteer and assistant secretary of Science Club, and he was also a part of the NCC Air Force Wing. He received the Best Student Award at Inspire Science Camp organized by the Department of Science and Technology. He has been an active sports player, playing volleyball, and he was also an athlete. At KCG College of Technology, he was a part of the NCC company, and he was holding the rank of Company Sergeant Major in the Army Wing. He was awarded the Best Commander Award. He has drawn inspiration to be in this position from his father, who is serving as an inspector with CISF, which is Central Industrial Security Force. As our principal and Dean Student Affairs already shared, he has been instrumental in forming the Civil Services Aspirants Club in our campus in association with Ms. Ramya and Dr. Albert Ryan, who was with us that time. And now the club has started producing fruits. So we are really happy to have Baki Gautam with us. It is really a blessing to see such toppers in our campus coming out with um, coming out with so many colorful achievements. So we are very happy to have Baki Gautam. Now the floor is yours, Baki Gautam. I want you to address the gathering.
Thank you, sir, for the introduction. Very good morning to one and all present here on this virtual event. I'm first like to thank Principal Ma'am and Anita Ma'am for their wishes. And it's very unfortunate that we had to connect first over the virtual, and then we'll be meeting later in person. And ma'am, as you had said, it is not the first time I was there for the convocation, and one other time I was there visiting the NCC cadets. So I think it's likely the third time I'm back to college after 2016. And I will just start off by sending my wishes to the Principal Ma'am, Devasundari Ma'am, and Dean of Student Affairs, Anita Manuel Ma'am, and the host for the day, two professors who are with us, Ramya Ma'am and Praveen Sir, and to all other participants who are joining from KCG as well as from outside. So you may be aspirants or who are just interested to know about civil services. And I would like to split my talk. It will be a very short one. I would like to split it into 4 parts, as into why I got into preparing for the examinations. And number 2 would be the process which I went through, my journey so far. And number 3 would be I would just give a brief introduction like about the Central Armed Police Force examination. There's not much awareness about the examination among students, particularly in Tamil Nadu. Very few people take up the exam as such. So a brief part on that. And I'll just slightly touch upon like what qualities one needs, not just for cracking exams, but as in youth, like when you step into your career, what one needs to succeed in any career as a matter of fact. So let's start with why I started. As sir had mentioned, that my father is also a serving policeman. So it has been there since my childhood. I've been grown up seeing him, and probably it was there subconsciously, it was there inside me. You know, whenever there's a policeman as a society, in a society, you get a different respect, and there's always a different dimension to it. Even though there will be parents, other friends' parents, they will be from different positions in different fields. But then when you say your dad is a cop, there is always heads turning and looking at you. And that was there subconsciously, but there was a spark moment in my life. It was during my NCC camp in 9th standard. It was at, I think it's a coincidence that it was at Hindustan University actually. It was the Air Force, because they also have an Air Force wing. The camp was held at Hindustan University. There was a camp commanding officer. He was a wing commander, and I just like admired him so much. He was like so full of energy, and the way he looked in uniform, the way he looked in casuals with his aviator glasses, just like they talk about love at first sight. I guess I fell in love with uniform at first sight, and that's where it started. And from then I started with my aspirations for Indian Air Force, and I took up AFCAT exams and I couple of times, and I cleared the exam, but I couldn't clear the interview. And I have gone for the service selection board interviews for Air Force, Army, and Navy, which I failed. And then I got into preparing for civil services since 2016 through the coaching mode. But otherwise, my first start was in during final year of college. Probably exact date is 13th October 2015. That was the first time I just took a newspaper for the purpose of preparing for exams. So I remember the date, and that's how it started. And probably it's been almost 6 years. Yeah, 5.5 or 6 years it has been since I started preparing. And it was only in 2019, this exam was held in 2019, that I was able to come out successful in one of the exams that I've written. And now I would like to share like what all exams did I go through and what has happened in this 5 years. So I started writing my civil services in 2016. That was my first attempt straight out of college with just 2 months of preparation, thinking that was enough without knowing the depth of the examination process. And I couldn't clear. And after that, I took up coaching classes, and 17, 18, 19, all 4 years, I couldn't clear the preliminary examination. And in 2020, I was able to clear the preliminary examination, and I have given the mains examination this January 2021, and I'm awaiting results for the mains examination. And otherwise, I've written the Tamil Nadu Group 1 services once, I've written the mains, and this particular exam, Central Armed Police Forces, I've written it thrice, 2016 straight out of college, and then again in 2018 and 2019. In 2018, I was able to clear the written examination, but however, due to a muscle injury, I was unable to clear the physical test. And in 2019, I cleared the the written test, the physical, the medical, the interview, and here I am securing 178th rank. So the idea here is that not to scare people who are watching this session that you need to spend 4 or 5 years. I lacked proper guidance, and I had certain flaws which I needed to assess and correct it. So it took time for me. Probably if you're having a proper guidance and you're already having good study methodologies, and guidance is very crucial, maybe from a coaching institute or maybe from a senior in any case. So if that is there, even at first attempt, anyone can clear the exam. So I've covered two topics of why I started and the journey that has been so far. Now let me talk in particular about the Central Armed Police Force examinations. I'll just give a brief intro about the examination process, because like I said earlier, there are not much people taking up this exam. This exam, I would say it's much easier than UPSC civil services and as well as Group 1, TNPSC Group 1 examination. It is a single day examination process. Morning we'll be having a general studies paper, and which is consists of 125 questions. And in the afternoon, we'll have a written language paper, which you have essays, report writing, and prezi writing and grammar, which is more of testing your language skills. So that's just a single day exam when you compare it with civil services or Tamil Nadu Group 1 mains. So which are like, we have two stages, prelims and mains. But the only catch here is that no other exam for officer cadre in India has a physical test. So this is the only exam which has a physical test. So here, physical test, you have minimum height and weight standards, chest expansion standards, and we also have 4 events that we need to qualify within the prescribed time and limits. We have the 100-meter race, the 800-meter race, long jump, and shot put. So Once we qualify that, then we have the medical test the next day. And once we clear the physical and medical, then we are called for the interview to the Union Public Service Commission, New Delhi. So the interview process is very much similar to the one which takes place for the civil services. The same panel conducts interview for the Central Armed Police Force as well. So the whole catch here is there is less awareness about the exam, but the exam is easy and you get same pay equal to an IPS officer. But not many people take up the exam because there is lack of awareness, one point, and two, not everyone is ready for an adventurous life or pan-India posting. So I wanted to like use this this stage to create a bit of awareness for this exam, so that probably like 10 or 20 students who take up this exam and clear 1 or 2 years down the line, it's a very good opportunity. I think this exam, given the cost to benefit ratio, the amount of preparation and time you put and the output, you get a uniform and a salary and all that benefits that you get for this particular exam. And coming to my process with this examination, frankly speaking, since my aim was to become an IPS officer, this exam was my backup plan, which I was planning to take up. If I were not to clear the civil services. So in 2018, it was not a very full-fledged preparation for the exam, and with my existing knowledge of civil services, I just gave the exam and I cleared the exam, but physical I was not able to clear. So that was a bit disappointing. So that was like first time my name had come on a list. So whenever we check the result list, we always have the roll numbers and you always have to do the control F and search for a roll number. So that was the first time. It was a good memory because it was the first time my roll number had appeared on an UPSC results page. And in 2019, again, with bit of strategy and preparation, I gave the exam again. I was confident of clearing the exam and I started preparing for the physical test. But then since I had failed in the physical test in the 2018, right till the moment I ran the 100-meter race in the 2019 physical event, I had jitters in my stomach because the old failure was still haunting me. So if I were to say, I enjoyed the most after finishing the 100-meter event because that was something which I failed and I overcome. I had much more joy even than seeing the final result. It was that kind of an connect with sports which I already had, as well as to, the same place where you ran and lost and you walked back, that long walk you had back home. The same event I was able to clear. And but then in 2019, and since we are in the preparation for long, we don't do much of physical activity. So I was overweight by around 13 kgs as per above their standards. So again, I had to do a re-medical, and within a 1 month and a half, I reduced 13 kgs. So I had to work out double time a day and run around 50 kilometers a week. And it was quite a lot of hard work going in for that period. So I guess it was around February 2020 when the remedical happened, and I was expecting the interview and the process to get over by May 2020. But then unfortunately we had the Corona pandemic, and for an exam which I started the process with in August 2019, I have got my results in I think February 2021. So it has been almost an year and a half long wait for this particular examination. So here I'm just not saying that it will be so difficult for everyone. I'm just emphasizing on the number of attempts and the process, because I just want to convey to the audience that it is always possible. It's not that it's impossible or only someone who's very knowledgeable or a topper from college or any such people can only crack the examination. Like I was like most of you would do, I would just read the previous night for the semester and write. So we all had that standard number of questions which were repeated and all that. That's what the background work we used to do, and read those parts and do it. So that's college is different. College and school exams are entirely different, and competitive exams are a different game altogether. If it's MCQ, you need a different approach, and your descriptive answering based exams that need a different approach. Here it's not about what you can memorize and write. It's more about your application. They test you for what you want to become. They test how you are as an administrator, how good you would be at office, like psychologically under pressure situations and all that. That's how the exams are designed. So here I guess I've completed 3 parts of what I wanted to convey to you. So one last part I would like to stress upon is what you need to be to, crack civil services or any other exams or as such in general in your career. I feel two qualities are very essential, be it any career that you want to do, be it your sports or you're going to write competitive exams or be it in your core field or whatever. One is discipline. When the word discipline is said, it includes your time management, dedication, punctuality, leadership quality. Everything comes under that. So discipline is a very holistic word, I think. So that needs to be there. Like you need to be disciplined with your schedules. If you're studying for an exam, you need to be putting in whatever amount of time you're gonna put in every day. That should be there. There should be no distractions, and you should be having a proper planning, and all that should go into it. And the second quality is perseverance. So however long it takes for you to achieve your dream, you need to stick with it. You shouldn't jump away from the dream. Like you have this incubation period. So everyone doesn't have the same incubation period. I have my friends who straight out of college who got into an MS degree in the US and straight from that PhD, and he has completed his PhD in a record time. His trajectory has been that it was straight vertical from school till college. He was a school topper. But my thing has been that I had to take 5 years for me to come to this place to clear this examination. So my incubation period was longer. So his incubation period was shorter. So everyone have their own timelines for attaining success. It's always there, but it's for you to follow your passion, with dedication, and pursue it. Keep chasing it. So that's how you could land success in any field. I just feel these are the only two qualities which you need for succeeding. There is nothing called, born leaders or born talent or, toppers. All that are just a myth. Anyone can do it. Even I could just share with you an example of my senior. He's currently an IPS officer. He's posted as Assistant Superintendent of Police in Jharkhand, and he cleared the exam in his 6th attempt. He cracked the civil services. His ambition was to be an IPS officer, and he had arrears during college. He had more than 10 arrears during college, and your life changes. Competitive exam doesn't see who you were in your past. It just wants to see whether you would be fit for the future job that they are recruiting for. So just don't be bothered about your college days. Just pick a passion which you have, fix a dream, and just keep chasing it. So I would just like to end my speech with a quote. This is one of my favorite quote. It's by Winston Churchill. It goes like, if you're going through hell, just keep going. So it just says that the path may be difficult. So if you just keep going through it, there'll always be success at the end. So I guess probably Winston Churchill would have said it, and what connotation, I don't know. Probably it was during the World War period. So, but then we could take it in a positive way for us. And I would end here just by thanking a few people. I first like to thank God for showering his success on me, and I hope he just showers it on for the civil services as well, which I expect results in another 3 weeks. And I would like to thank my parents for letting me chase my dreams. And it's been 5 years out of college, and I have not taken up any employment till date. And they have been very supportive. And it's very great. Like these days, parents have deadlines in careers, achieving and getting married and all that. And my parents were like, whatever you want to become, you could become. I had that liberty at home. And I would like to thank my teachers since school and college, professors, whoever have helped me mold my character and qualities that I have today. It includes NCC as well. NCC has been an very crucial part in my life, right from the spark it provided and honing my skills as a leader. And I would like to thank my sister, who's been my pillar of support. She's been a moral support during my preparation journey. And probably you will need some emotional support in this journey. And last but not the least, I would like to thank KCG for giving me this platform today. And I'll see this platform as a tool for interacting with students. I'll be very happy if 10 students get inspired and start studying. Everyone just needs a spark in their life at some point. It's not like we have plans all the way. So I thank Principal Ma'am, Devasundari Ma'am, Dean of Student Affairs Anita Ma'am, and Professors Ramya Ma'am and Praveen Sir, and the whole of KCG staff and management. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gautam. That was really enlightening.
Thank you,
So that's not over. Now we have exactly a half an hour time to interact with Gautam. So this is how we have planned. Now we have with us Ms. Ramya, who is the faculty in charge of the Civil Aspirants Club in our campus. She will start the interaction. She will ask few questions on the behalf of the participants to Gautam. And I will also join with her. Meanwhile, we have Nitin Nair, who is Canada senior under officer in the NCC company of our college, here to coordinate with us. He will be helping us to summarize the questions from the participants. So I request the participants to post your queries and questions, all that you wanted to ask Gautam or all that you need to discuss and deliberate it, to be posted on the chat box. So we'll consolidate it and ask the questions on your behalf. So you can start typing the questions. Meanwhile, we'll start the interaction. Okay, so over to Ramya. Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Hello, Gautam. First, congrats to you. Now, you have told you have cleared prelims 2020 of CSE, UPSC Civil Service exam, and also you managed to crack CAPF 2019. Okay, so how you manage this preparation simultaneously? Because in CAPF you have all the physical test, everything. Okay, and in CSE it is completely. We cannot tell both are maybe the portions will be little similar, but not everything. So how you managed to prepare for both the exam and you cracked both last year?
Yes, ma'am. Like you said, the syllabus is similar. So plus the accumulated knowledge which I had over 3 to 4 years helped me for the Central Armed Police Forces examination. But then for the preparing for the physical part, and when I had to reduce weight, I was working out 2 times a day. So morning also I had a session, evening also I had a session, and I had to take rest also between the session and sleep well at night. So I wasn't able to prepare full on for civil services during that period. So it was hardly 3 hours that I used to study during those times. So since this examination was in 2019, usually CAPF happens after the civil services examination every year. So 2019 anyways, I had not cleared civil services. And so there was not much of an overlap. So by the time I finished the process of the physical medical, it was February. And after that, 4 months were left. I was just as I was about to start, we had the pandemic situation, and exam was held in October. So there was not actually an overlap, but still, if it was there, students can manage. It's not something very hectic.
Okay. So Gautam, how was your involvement with NCC activities and being a part of the Civil Aspirants Club at KCG College of Technology helped you in your growth?
Yes, sir. And even before we start with NCC in college, we could push it back to from school 11th and 12th. So as you had mentioned in the bio that I was the head volunteer and assistant secretary science club. Since then, I was more of a person outside the class. I was never inside the class. So I was into volunteering or conducting club activities or involved in sports. So that's when I realized that it's not all about marks that we score, and it's more about like what we actually like. So I liked more of the outside things that I were doing, like man management, and it was more of a leadership roles that I enjoyed doing. So once I got into college, same thing happened with NCC. NCC again in KCG, for an engineering college, I guess we had a lot of liberty compared to other colleges. We were allowed to have classes, and the college was liberal in granting on duties for anything related with NCC, be it within college or outside college. And during my period, it was like a young company. That's when I guess only 2 or 3 batches had passed out. And then our team was able to do a lot of efforts. And today, I guess we have students participating in a lot of camps and various inter-college competitions as well. They have been winning. I've been seeing them on the WhatsApp group. So it's really nice that NCC has grown over these years. And for me, the crucial part is it helped me, understand people. I had 40 people under me, including all 3 years. So each one would be different. Someone would be arrogant and someone would be like listening to whatever you say. So it gives you that experience of handling different kinds of people. So it's not just that just because I am their senior, they have to listen to me. So there's always, you learn how to handle people. That's for NCC. And regarding the civil services club, and actually it was very, very young at that during my final year. And that too, I think in my final semester, myself and English professor Albert P. Ryan, we thought of the initiative and we started it. So it was just a seed that was planted, I should say. So probably after that, it has grown so much. I heard from Ramya ma'am that there have been distinguished guests who have given lectures. So I guess probably the spark I had in my life, this club was the spark which students in KCG needed. Probably future students would benefit greatly from it.
Also, Gautam, I could see many women participants, girls who are watching this program. And what do you have to say for them? What is the role of women, especially what is the scope for women candidates in clearing UPSC examinations, and particularly concerning their physical fitness? Okay, concerning the physical fitness, what are the measures that they should take? Do you have anything to say?
Yes, sir. As far as civil services goes, like we have a lot of women candidates taking up the exam, but Central Armed Police Forces in particular, we don't have a lot of people taking up, girls taking up in particular. Even if they do not prepare for the physical test and they just come there for the physical test, and they come without preparation and they fail in that physical test. So the physical test is, as I said, you have 100 meters, 800, shot put, and long jump. For girls, we don't have shot put, and the 100, 800, and long jump events, we have different standards for the women candidates. It is like we have 100 meter. If it's for boys, it's 16 seconds. For the girls, it is 18 seconds. So there are a bit more. The standards are a bit reduced for the women candidates. The forces have women, all the forces, the 5 forces: CSF, CRPF, BSF, SSB, and ITBP. And government also encourages more of women participants to come up. I mean, women officers to come up. So any girl or women who is watching this session, even they can apply for the CAPF and they can join. Just that you just have to prepare for the physical and not be very complacent with the physical part.
And what about when we have a long time gap from passing out of the college and clearing these exams? When people have commitments and families where they need to financially support the family, and are there any people who are sponsoring, or is there are there any government agencies who support by some stipend or some other means? Is there anything like that of the sort? I do not know. I'd like to hear from you.
Yes, sir. The state government runs a free coaching center for which entrance exam is held every year. And there are also certain trusts running free coachings. And we also have a few ex-officers who give mentorship out of their own interest. And I think there are a few community groups or college groups. They also offer free coaching. So probably you can interested students can Google and try to find out about the different opportunities they have. Because I remember like the Jamia University in Delhi, they offer free coaching with boarding and lodging for the minority students. So there are opportunities. We need to find them out. It's not like I know anything in particular. I'm very well aware of two
Yes,
things in Tamil Nadu. One is the government run and another is the Manidhanayam trust which runs. Those are the two free initiatives here. But other than that, we have opportunities which we need to explore.
so when I asked this question, you mentioned about coaching centers. I have a question. How do you look at these two aspects? Clinging on to your coaching center for preparing for the examinations, or self-preparation? Which one do you suggest? Or which one, or a combination of both? Or which is the best method?
Yeah, so this is a very common question that aspirants have, and I would say that both ways people have proved it works. Like people with coaching who have taken up coaching have also cleared, and people who have done self preparation for the whole process also have cleared. So my suggestion would be that for self-preparation, there is abundant content and guidance on the internet. Today, we have excess content on the internet. We have so much of blogs by toppers, their notes, their strategies, everything is available as an open source on the internet. Probably you can use that. And if you can be more disciplined, we can go for self-preparation as well. But if you feel you need to have a proper guidance, we have coaching academies. I guess they also come in different sort of packages for different economic classes of people. Like you have in different ranges, you have coaching institutes as well. But then the catch here is that even if we were to attend coaching classes, we need to have our unique approach for the exam, because only we know what's our strength and weakness. So like I am a person who can just see a book and grasp things from that, but I won't be very comfortable in trying to systematically sit and memorize and study and arrange it organizedly. That is not my way of studying. So for my way of studying, what would work for a prelims examination or mains examination, how I could use that individuality and uniqueness is uh, it varies from person to person. So they need to devise their own strategies. Coaching institutes can be seen as only a way where you understand things which you don't know. Probably an optional subject would be a separate degree paper which you would be reading. So a degree standard paper. So for that you would need guidance, and the strategy wise it comes down to the individuals. So it comes to the more of the individual effort. There should be a balance, not entirely dependent on any third parties.
Okay. Meanwhile, Ms. Ramya can take some questions. By the time I think Nitin is summarizing all the messages that are coming in the chat box, after Ramya ma'am finishes asking her questions, Nitin, you can take over and kindly summarize the questions.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Gautam, how many hours you dedicate for your preparation daily? That is a myth that our aspirants should prepare at least 14 to 16 hours, which is highly impossible because only we can focus for some 6 to 7 hours per day. So what do you say about that? And how much hours you dedicated for your preparation?
During my initial stages, I think I would have spent anywhere around 10 to 12 hours easily. Now, if you ask me a few months back, I was just studying 3 hours a day, 3 to 4 hours a day. But the idea here is that it's not about the amount of hours that a person puts in. Even if you spend 1 hour, but you're able to grasp a lot of content and understand whatever you're reading, so that 1 hour is very effective. It's about how much of effective studying you're doing and not how much time you're sitting with the book. I can sit with the book for 12 hours and hardly turn one page, but I can sit for 1 hour and finish 20 pages like thoroughly. So that's the difference. So it's about the quality and not the quantity of time.
Yes.
So that is similar to what Albert Einstein says, theory of relativity. You sit with a pretty girl for 1 hour, it seems to be 1 minute, and you sit on the hot stove for 1 second, it seems to be 1 hour. So that's how your reading should also be. Yes, please continue.
Okay. So can you please share the book list and subject-based strategy for our aspirants? Because people, they refer the same content in from many sources. Okay. So have you managed that, and what is your book list for our aspirants?
I'll just speak on the second question first. So, like for the same content, people refer to a lot of different sources. So that is something very bad. I guess many toppers would have said instead of reading from 10 sources for one topic, you read the same content for 10 times. That's how you become good at the topic. So we just need to limit the content. So exam, like almost 70 to 80% of the people would be reading only a defined set of books. Only very few people read different books, and we don't know whether it is beneficial or not. So this exam is a relative marking. It's not like you need to score 90 plus and that's how you get marks. The prelims or mains, everywhere only the one who scores 50% is clearing, and the one who scores 50% in the overall mark is rank 1 ultimately. So it's a relative performance. So we need to be doing what everyone is doing. So basic books would be like for any subject, the basic starting books are NCERT. NCERT is the school books in the CBSE schools. So based on your level of understanding, you can start from 6th to 12th or 9th to 12th for your history, geography, political theory and economy, and geography I said already. Yeah. So for the 5 core subjects, and for polity, we have a book called Lakshmi Kant in particular, which most of us be using it. And for geography, again, I guess just the NCERTs, 11th, 12th NCERTs is sufficient. And economy, many people use Shankar Ganesh and or Ramesh Singh. Ramesh Singh is a bit expensive, and it needs selective reading. And for environment, most of them read the Shankar IAS book. And for other subjects, I think, yeah,
For
history we
science
go
and
for
technology, it is
NCERT.
more about current affairs, right? For
Yeah,
science
science and technology, it's just current
current
affairs.
affairs. And
If we,
environment also nowadays, the questions are revolving around current affairs.
yeah, because they have exhausted all the static questions.
Yes.
And for science and technology, probably we should be, for the CAPF exam, we need to do 6th to 10th science, that is compulsory. For civil services, there's not much of questions being asked from the books, it's more of current affairs.
Okay. So now coming to the current affairs preparation. So it is must that you should have one newspaper, at least Hindu or Indian Express. How did you manage your current affairs preparation? And holistically, how you did the compilation? Do you have the regular habit of taking the notes of the current affairs daily you prepare, or monthly or weekly? How did you manage it?
Okay. When I started initially, like any other candidate, you won't be able to differentiate what is necessary and what is not necessary for the exam. So I used to write even every small thing which comes in the newspaper, I used to note it down. That's how I started my current affairs note making. But eventually down the line, I realized that how much ever, like we are trying to make notes, like be it from News Hindu, and we need to supplement it with Yojana, Kurukshetra, or any other magazine which people talk about. It's not humanly possible. You have to look at the cost benefit ratio for it. How many sources can we read and take notes, and we should also be studying other static subjects. So down the line, I realized that invariably current affairs compilations given by different academies like Vision or Insights, which most people use, they cover all topics, most of the topics, and it's up to us to pick the topics from that, from the syllabus point of view, whichever we feel from the syllabus as well as previous year questions point of view, and read them. So personally, making it is not very beneficial in present times, considering the nature of question paper. But then reading the question, I mean, newspaper regularly is very important, because we need to know the issues that are happening around. The editorial part helps us define our opinions to the issues. We need to be looking at it from an administrator point of view, both in the positive and the negative aspects. So we always need to have opinions about everything. You know, all the participants who are watching this video, if I were to ask you about the farm bill issue, which has been going on for over a few months now, you shouldn't be talking about the political aspect to it. You should be just looking at it from an administrator. What are the advantages about the 3 bills coming in, and what are the disadvantages which can be probably be corrected? That's it. Just boils down to that. So that's how you need to look for the current affairs.
Okay. So next, coming to the revision part, Gautam. So how about your comprehensive revision, and how many revisions you have given before taking any exam? Yes, because one subject, how many times you revised? And because we are preparing both for the static and also current affairs part 2, so we need to revise it, right? How about your revision plan?
Yes, revision. In general, revision is very important for an examination, because within the 2 hours in the prelims, or if you have 3 hours for the written paper, you won't have time to think and write an answer in the examination hall. So everything needs to be just flowing in your head, and your hand just needs to do the writing work continuously. So the ideas, be it current affairs or the static part, everything needs to be stored in organized fashion in our brain. You know, it's something very similar to how we have the computer. You have the C drive, D drive, and you have folders inside it. We need to store it in an organized way so that the retrieval in the examination hall is much easier. So revision is essential. Depending on your level of preparation and your stage in preparation, the number of times can be determined.
Okay, so any mnemonics you have tried remembering the organization names for your mains exam as well for prelims also. So any mnemonics like that you have done maybe for your ancient part of history too?
I am not very good at making notes or doing this revision, all that. So mnemonics, if I find something interesting on the net, someone has posted it, and if it sticks to my mind, I'll just use it. I think something for what is that? For the schedules of the Indian Constitution, there is something which Roman Saini had made a video on. Long back, I had watched it, and it stuck to my head. So something like that, it just sticks to me, and I have not made something on my own. But then I've heard that it's very helpful in
Is
remembering
it
very factual data.
okay? So how about your emotional fluctuations during the course of your preparation? Because there are ups and downs in the preparation too. And 2 days after the aspirants, I heard that they will be feeling low, and one day they will be highly motivated. So how did you manage your emotional fluctuations?
Yes, ma'am. You have rightly said. We always have this emotional balance. Is emotional quotient is something very important, and we don't talk about it much as such in general life as well. As far as examination goes, the pressure is very high. The stakes are high because everyone is constantly asking you about your status, like whether you have cleared an exam. Otherwise, probably you would have picked up some other career. By now, you would have earned so much and all that. So the stakes are always high. So getting into this examination process, you are more of it's a solo game. It's like a Rambo. You go like a one-man army. So there's no one supporting you. So we need to balance it. I mean, take care of our emotional part. There's always ups and downs. So self motivation is very important. That maybe to watching your some role models who are very inspiring, watching their speech, or probably someone could do meditation, or their running, or whatever like makes them feel at ease, is a stress buster for them. uh, or talking with their friend, someone who's very when we talk with one of our best friend, we'll feel light at heart. So such conversations also help. But the idea, above all, we are a human, we are an individual. That's what matters. So self motivation is something very paramount.
Okay. So what is the demand of the UPSC exam from the aspirants? Okay, what they are demanding from your perspective?
Okay, so the UPSC examination, so we have three stages. So the preliminary examination, mains examination, and the personality test, also called as the interview. So at each stage, the UPSC tries to assess the candidate. So it's not like some examination which has been randomly put into place. So I feel in the preliminary examination, 100 questions, if they give you 4 hours, I think more people will be able to crack the exam. But doing it in 2 hours, I think the amount of pressure that goes into it, that I think they try to create the situation like wherein you are in collector or an SP of a district, and on a daily basis you're sitting in the hot chair and you have to make decisions in split seconds which should be affecting the lives of many people. So that's what they're trying to create in prelims. They're also testing your psychological part. It's not just about your knowledge. Even in the past 2 years, it's been more of the stress situation more than about knowledge. It's been how you approach the question. So mains, again, looking at it, it's about how you comprehend your ideas in a quick fashion. You have 20 questions in 3 hours, and believe me, writing it is very hard, and you can't sit and think at all. So instantly ideas need to keep flowing. So I think everywhere in the process, they're looking at the, how an administrator, what kind of an administrator they want for running the government. That's what is being tested in the examination process as well.
Okay. So last question for the day. That is from our part, and again Q&A section participants are posting the question. So can you please share us your interview experience? How did you prepare yourself for the interview? Because I heard that you had a 20 minutes interview. Uh, yes, for your CAPF. Can you please share with us?
Yeah, I had my interview at the UPSC New Delhi, and I got my board chairman was retired Air Marshal Bonsley sir. So as he was from the defense background, and my background also was in my my attempts with the defense exam interviews and NCC and all that. So that's how we started the interview with. So like you have shown your interest, and over these years you have been pursuing and all that. So we fill an application for the personality test after we clear the written part. It's called the detailed application form, commonly called as DAF. In that, we give all our details regarding our place of birth, school, college, and our attempts with examination, hobbies, interest, and what our achievements we have done in our life. So for me, most of my questions were based out of my DAF, almost 80%. I hardly had 3 or 4 questions from my, from the current affairs. And I also had a situation reaction based question in the interview. So in interview, they mostly test our personality. So that's been my interview experience. So preparation, I feel like we attend mock interviews and prepare questions, generate questions from our DAF and prepare for it. But at the end of the day, we can't wear a mask for long. In 20 minutes, when they ask throw questions at you, your immediate response would be your defined by your personality and how you have shaped your thought process during your preparation phase and through the entire life.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now I hand over the session to Nitin Nair. Nitin, can you please yes, go
Yes,
ahead with the
thank you
yes.
so much. Before we actually begin, I find a lot of questions which have already been answered, and like both ma'am as well as Praveen Jo sir, both of them had actually asked those questions, which actually includes the answer for most of your questions. So before we begin, I'll be clubbing 2 to 3 questions which are actually similar. And to begin with, sir, Sangeeta, Mirfida Hussain, and Raj, all three of them had questions similar to the medical. So the question goes like I'll split it into 3 parts. First, first part from Raj was, is there a rejection for eye problems? Second, from Sangeeta is that how far is the eye power considered? Like what is the limitations for eye power? And from Mirfida, the question is that should we have a check for medical standards before applying for any exams as far as CAPF is concerned? For example, flat foot or knock knee. So these are the questions, sir.
Okay. So regarding eyesight, probably for the exact standards, you need to refer to the notification, which you can check it out on the UPSC website, or you can just Google it, Central Armed Police for CAPF ASC medical standards. But as far as I know, regarding the power, the limit is plus or minus 5. You have -5 also +5. That is the range which it is acceptable. And in terms of the 6x6, which specs you have to be 6x6. And they have some criteria for the better eye and worse eye. So probably the one who is asking the question, I think, should fall within this, power range, -5 to +5. And these were the 2 questions regarding the eye, right? And the other one is whether we need to take a medical test before.
Yes, sir. For
Yeah.
in general, before taking up any test.
Yeah, medical test, it's not very necessary unless you have something, something very grave, like flat foot is a straight rejection in any armed force, be it in the military or be it in the police. Flat foot is not taken. Flat foot, knock knees, they are not taken. And other than that, I guess most of us would be healthy. And if you have had an surgery or fracture, and such things would be questioned, and whether you have recovered properly, and that those kind of reports would be necessary. But otherwise, for a normal human, only like something very stringent, like you have very, a lot of power, or whether if you're colorblind, or flat foot, knock knee, and these are the kind of things which get rejected with no appeal, which can't be rectified also. You can't rectify a flat foot.
Yes, sir. There's a question from Ashwath as well. Is LASIK allowed in UPSC?
Yes, there is a guideline which says that you can do LASIK 6 months before the date of physical test. So probably you can read the notification and try to, find more about it. Because you can do a LASIK, but at the same time, they have given some conditions that the eye has to be with specifications to the aperture of the eye and all that. So that also has to be kept in mind while doing the LASIK, because you make some small mistake during the surgery, your aperture or something changes, that would again be a ground for rejection.
Yes, sir. And the next question is from, there's a similar question from Manoj Kumar and Ivan. Manoj Kumar goes about saying that, for example, when we take the syllabus, there are a number of dimensions to a particular topic. So where to start and where to stop as far as a topic is concerned. And Ivan has the same doubt, that is, which issues should we actually go in depth and which to just have a go through? So these are the questions from both of them, sir.
Okay, okay. As far as examination goes, anything that we need to, what we need to study and what we need not study, we can only find it out from the syllabus and previous year question papers. So these two are only the source for us to determine whether you need to study or not. And be it current affairs or static or any subject, as a matter of fact, because we are reading from books which are meant to be studied for school or for other purposes. They are not exclusively for preparing for civil service. It's not like you prepare from this book. I mean, you read any book end to end. You need to selectively only read books, so read topics, so that you can determine it by understanding the syllabus in depth. Prelims, mains, you just go through the syllabus, all the topics you should like know it in the tips. And the previous year question papers give an idea of, okay, like that's supposing there's a topic which says investment models. There's a topic on the syllabus. So based on the investment model topic, what kind of questions have appeared in the past? So that will give us an idea of to what extent should we read. So the depth would basically be, for prelims, we need to have conceptual understanding, and for mains, probably we need to know 5 positives and 5 negatives. That's all is needed, not with too much of depth.
Yes, sir. Sir, and there's one more question from Balaji, which goes like, sir, did you have any plan B, if not for clearing this time in this pandemic situation?
Okay. Actually, as I had said in my talk earlier, that CAPF was my plan B. So becoming IPS is my plan A. So I've reached my plan B. I have to proceed to plan A. And I was sure of clearing CAPF this year. So I did not have anything very particular because of the pandemic. Just the wait was very frustrating.
Yes, sir. Sir, and there's one more question from Kamalesh, which goes like, is there any specific strategy for newspaper reading?
Okay. It is very common that most of the students, when they start their preparation, they spend 2 to 3 hours or some even the entire day in reading the newspaper. I'll just probably say a few areas where you can pick on the newspaper. You leave out the city, state pages, you can leave it out in entirety. You read the national page and the news page. I'm talking this about the Hindu newspaper. And so that's just 2 papers, and again 2 papers, the news and the national page. And you read the editorial, again 2 papers. And you have the world news in 1 page, and then you can skip the sports and business page. The 2 pages of economy is important. So if you shortlist to this, and again, as I said earlier, knowing what type of questions are being asked in the examination would help you to determine whether we need to study it or not. It is an art which you develop in your course of preparation. So when you go through the process, you will develop yourself.
Yes, sir. There's a question from Palgunan. Can you share your experience of the interviews that you've attended so far?
Okay. The CAPF interview is the only interview which I've given at UPSC. As I had said, most of the questions were from my DAF and a few current affairs. Probably as he has asked this question again, I guess I didn't give much clarity. So I'll just give a few questions from my what were asked. So I've given my hobby as reading books. So I was asked about what is the last book I read, and about the small summary. I had read a book about the role of a book which describes the role of Indian Air Force during the 1971 Liberation War. So since the chairman was also an ex-Air Force officer, he asked me about some particular technique, whether do you know about it, which was used in that particular war, and I did not know because it was not mentioned in the book. So he said, okay, probably it was not written, and that's how it went. And um, what else did they ask? They asked me about issues between Tamil Nadu and Sri Lanka, like just give 5 quick issues that we have. And I had an interesting question. It was a situation reaction test. Probably this would be interesting for the audience. And it was like, there's a small house or a room, and your mother is stuck in it and it is on fire, and what would you do? This was a question that they asked me. And for me, more than thinking about it, I immediately, what struck my mind was, I had read an article about Kiran Bedi ma'am, like in which she was the first women officer. The men did not respect her as an officer, like how they would respect a male officer. So because of there was a fire incident in the slum, and when they went there, she just drenched herself with the water, her poured water all over her, and this got into the huts and started saving people. So after this incident, she gained respect in the police force. I remember reading this incident, and the same thing I just said it in the interview. So I said like I would just drench myself with water and use a blanket and go rescue my mom. But before that, I'll just make a call to the fire service. So it's not something very dramatic or heroic. It is something which is possible. At the same time, it also includes a mix of rationality because I've made a call to the fire service as well. So I feel this was one very interesting question that was asked in the interview, which probably I could share.
Yes, sir. There's a question from Ramya and there's a question from Anusha. I'd like to
Okay.
put forward both of it together. That is there are different optionals in CSE. So what were your strategies for example, yours was IPS, no, so your main aim was IPS. What would be the different strategies if you wanted to become an IAS and the different strategies that you will follow to become an IAS, or is it the same?
Okay. First, let me just put in some clarity. The civil services examination is a single examination which recruits people for 22 to 25 different services in the Indian government, which includes IAS, IPS, Indian Forest Service, Indian Foreign Service, Indian Revenue Service, Indian Accounts and Audit Service, Indian Postal Service, Indian Defense Account Service, Armed Force Headquarters, and etc. etc. So there are 22 different services, and we have just one single exam. So it's not that I have a strategy for IPS and that's a different strategy for IAS. So when you fill the application form, you give preferences for what you want, whether you want IAS first or IPS first or IRS first. So based on the marks you score in the final, after your interview, you are allotted the services based on your preferences and vacancies. So it all depends on your rank. So I just want to make it clear that we just have one single examination which recruits officers for around 22 different posts in different services.
Yes, sir. So there's a question from Shubham Patel. Could you suggest the initial steps after completing graduations as far as UPSC preparation is concerned?
Initial steps would be probably you could watch some toppers video and try to get an understanding of what sort of preparation you need to get in, and the book list and all that is given on the different blogs which are available online. And the basic reading you can start reading a newspaper and just buy some NCRT books for the different subjects and start with that. That would be the easiest, the first baby steps that you could take in UPSC preparation.
Yes, sir. Sir, there's a question from Atava. Sir, is CAPF and CRPF are different or are they same?
Okay, again something which needs clarity. CAPF means Central Armed Police Forces. So under that, there are 5 different forces. So I'll just name the 5 and their role. The first one is CISF, Central Industrial Security Force. So their main role is to guard the public sector undertaking, the different harbors, airports, government buildings, heritage monuments, etc., etc. And second is CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force. They are actively involved in the internal security details, which goes from insurgency in northeast and militancy in JNK or Naxalism, and they do election duties, VIP guarding. That's literally like A to Z. Anything under internal security, CRPF would be doing. And we have the BSF, Border Security Force, and they guard along the Pakistan and Bangladesh borders. And then we have the SSB, Sashastra Seema Bal. They guard along the Nepal and Bhutan borders. And we have the ITBP, Indo-Tibetan Border Police. They guard along the India-China border. Probably people would have come to know of it from the India-China standoff, which had been happening in the recent past. So these are the 5 Central Armed Police Forces. And when you write this exam, again, you give choices and you could be allotted to any of the 5.
Yes, sir. So there's a question from Anusha. What were your optionals, sir, for the CSE?
Okay, my optional was public administration.
Yes, sir. And there's a question from Vignesh and Dalsia. It's a similar question. Is coaching really mandatory for cracking civil service, or having a disciplined approach towards it is enough?
Okay, like I said earlier, probably if you could get some proper guidance from a senior or a mentor or from an online, we have a lot of sites offering it. And if you have a self-discipline approach, when you're going to coaching, it's like you're paid the fees, you're attending classes regularly for a, year, and you're attending tests. And so, there is a system which is there. When you go through the system, it instills discipline into you. But here you are the master, so you could do anything you want. So you need to be much more disciplined than going through that process. But you have all the coaching material, the different test series, everything is available online free of cost. So I think what matters is your will, to attain the success, and your discipline would be needed extra if you're going for self preparation.
Yes, sir. There's a question from Maha. Uh, like, would you like to suggest something guide for people who are not strong in their language?
Okay. Language is only an qualifying paper. Like in civil services mains, out of 300, you need to score 75 marks to qualify the paper in English, and then you can pick any one Indian language. So I guess I can speak on that as well. My language paper was Hindi, and I read Hindi after 8 years. So I just practiced writing, and I took some classes, and I went and wrote the language paper. So I guess probably most of us wouldn't be, have been in touch. Probably if you studied in CBSE schools, and after 10th, we would have never read language paper as such. So language paper is very simple, just that it should be taken too lightly as well. We need to prepare for it, because every year around 10% of people fail in the language paper, and their entire mains other papers are not evaluated. So you need not worry about the language paper. There's other papers which needs more worrying. Probably you can just take some classes. If you feel you're very weak, just go to some tuition teacher in your neighborhood and get some classes.
There's a question from Aditya. Can you explain about the descriptive part in the mains exam?
A descriptive part, okay, we have four different, sorry, not four, we have 9 papers in total in the mains examination, out of which 2 are qualifying. The one is the English language and the other is the Indian language. In the remaining 7, we have an essay paper wherein we need to write 2 essays in 3 hours. And we have language papers, sorry, not language papers, we have the general studies papers. So paper 1 would consist of history, geography, and social issues. That's paper 1. Paper 2 would be polity and governance and international relations. And paper 3 would be economy, environment, science and technology, and security. And paper 4, we have an entire paper dedicated to ethics. And 2 other papers belong to the respective optionals, whichever you would be choosing. So these are the 9 papers which we would be writing, and the exam happens over 5 days. We write back to back 9 papers. Yeah.
So there's a question from Manikumar. Like, since you're preparing for both IPS as well as CAPF, did you follow any different strategies while preparation? Is the question.
Okay. There's a common thing which people say: once you prepare for civil services, you would be able to crack any other examination that we have to take up. So, like I said before, the syllabus is almost similar for CAPF and civil services, but any exam needs a bit of a tweaking. So we need to know how much, like how to get that above marks, like above the cutoff. So you need to find a strategy. The difference between civil services prelims and CAPF is that in CAPF we have aptitude also in the prelims. That is your aptitude is your quantitative and logical reasoning and all that. Plus you have current affairs, which they don't ask in civil services, like awards, book authors, and regarding sports. All these are not asked in civil services. And in civil services, again, they don't ask basic science questions, which comes in CAPF. So these part, I had to do a bit of a homework for 2 weeks. I just spent for making notes for all this, and I just flipped through it. So otherwise, the general studies, polity, geography, history is the same thing which I have studied for civil services, which is the overlap for CAPF.
Yes, so there's a question from Manoj Kumar. For GS2 polity session, is it advisable to read Subhash Kashyap or DD Basu?
Yeah, I have not read both the books. I am a Lakshmikant person.
Yes, and so almost all the questions are answered. Yes, do the CAPF exam has technical part? Like, is there a technical aspect as far as any civil service is concerned?
No. They just have 2 papers. One is the general studies, and second is language. That tests your English language. So there's nothing technical.
Yes, there's Ashwath Rajan who's asking about your SSB experience.
SSB experience. I was just screened out on all occasions, so I guess I don't have much of an experience. I mean, to share with you on this platform. Probably you could ask someone who has cracked SSB.
Yes, sir. Almost all the questions are answered, sir. We are done with the questions.
And other questions, if participant would like to ask, I will post with the Gautam, with your permission, can I post your email ID so
Yes,
that
ma'am.
in
Sure,
future,
sure.
if aspirants are having any queries, you can answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Now over to you, Praveen
Yes.
sir.
Yeah. So we have come to a closure of this session. Hope we'll be able to arrange a session inside the campus in the near future. So those of you are really interested in interacting with Gautam in person, so we'll try to arrange a program inside the campus once we resume back to the regular classes inside the campus in the physical mode. So with that note, let us conclude. So I especially give a formal vote of thanks. I thank Mr. Baki Gautam for taking his time, even on a Sunday, and listening to us very patiently and answering all the questions and taking part as an interaction. So we are really proud of you. KCG College of Technology is really proud of you to be to have an alumni like you. And at the same time, I would like to also thank the management and also the student affairs department and the principal, the faculty, and all those who are involved in our business, who are creating a climate and an atmosphere and an ambience that is required for people to think more than engineering. Yes, even there are several other fields, maybe dance or music or cinema or government service or whatever may be the kind of stuff. We have KCGNs there. So that is the kind of atmosphere and climate that our college has created. And it has been really well utilized by some of the students like Gautam. So that is the kind of note that I'd like to give to all those who are listening to our program. And I thank all those participants who have also joined in the Facebook Live this morning. This program is also streamed live on the Facebook page. So hope to see you all in the campus in the future. Thank you, Gautam. Thank you, Gautam, for your presence. Thank you very much.